Mic lock button is on. Double.
More notes for Matthew Turbo's journey. The journeys of Matthew Turbo. I turned at the wayside, looking at the building, at the exchange building again. I turned, looking at them, giving those hard-earned bastards a look. Man, was it going to be another day? Or another dollar? I was not exactly sure. Was I going to be hesitant? It was going to be my only guess. I felt round the side of the building. I heard the machine gun fire round the front. A man at the front dropped his pistol. I heard him shout, "Damn them fools! Them wretched sods! Sod him!" He spitted aggressively at the ground, looking at somebody else, who mouthed, "Give him all it's worth, then." "All it's worth?" said a man. "Yes." You couldn't see him, could you? Who? That one. That rat. I wonder what he's crawling around for this time, said Phil. I don't know. Does he know exactly what he wants? Of course not. Don't put the man to shame. Yes, we won't put him to shame. Still, his girlfriend's in prison. So what, man? You really think that I'm going to forget this? Well, you can think again. Said Giles angrily. You really think I've got time? Men, here's a round of bullets. When you see the rat, exterminate the bastard. Fine, we will. And don't forget, have his blood. We will. Your words are on it. I had to wait till everything ceased. I'd hide round the side of the building. I'm sure there was an alarm round here. I felt in my pocket for my communicator and made sure that it was turned off. Damn them, I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction. In my back pocket was a old shabby piece of paper. It was a scatty piece of paper that I'd made way in the other street of a number 05210. Was that a code for something? I wasn't exactly sure. I was not fantastic with codes and still can't make them out this very day. Still, I like to dabble with programming languages. I was in quite a few coding clubs and knew that breaking codes was the answer to entering somebody's morals, or so I thought. Still, I moved quickly around the sides, hearing eerie voices saying things like exterminate the rat and have him. If you see him, have him. And other voices. I wasn't exactly sure. I could see from 20 meters a burnt out butt of a cigarette. I knew this was somebody's territory. There was no urine marking the ground, but there didn't need to be. That burnt cigarette was not the only thing to know that there was a territory being marked. There was some graffiti not far by. I knew in the past that if people had written graffiti all over the place, it meant that they were marking their territory or leaving their message for somebody else, either warning people off other territories or trying to make their mark. Still, I head down the side of the building. I could see a side door where there was an entrance into the Sorry, I thought I heard a knock at the door then. I didn't have a chance to do a jump cut. Let's see. Still on.
Mic trigger. Mic lock. Button. Is on.
As I entered through into the side door of the building, I could see signs all round. On my left I could see a staircase, and to the right I could see a door. Onwards I could see a corridor heading north. I decided to hide in the shadows by the staircase, just check anybody was coming down. I could still tell that it was something nearby that just didn't... Sorry, I knew there was something that was not far by that was just a little bit off. I knew there was another territory displaced. I remember it last time, but this time there was something a little different. Some new people had taken it on. Yet, I made sure that I was going to lie low if I was going to get anything to get my girlfriend. Still, I knew that that sod was not dead. Still, yes, we are helping him along the way some point, and we're getting some information for him. But what does that mean? Still, I'm having to work for him yet again. Something that I do not wish to do. And yes, that filthy rat, what does he deserve? He expects me to go poking around in other people's territories, yet if someone kills me, or yet if something happens, it won't be their fault, it'll be mine. Won't it? And it'll be on my own folly if I end up dead. Still, that's what they want, and they're not even going to get the satisfaction. Still, it's not my information they want. I've already tried that. They can have all my information. I'd give anything. I have given my ID a couple of times to people that I thought would bite my hands off. But instead, they'd rather kick me where it's down. Still, the scent of the building was pretty cold. I could tell there was something in the air. You could smell it. Ma'am, you could smell it like a bad smell. It was like a backed up drain. The smell was that bad. But there was something else. That stillness. A stillness which would make your hairs stand on the back of your neck. Just every inch of a part of this place just gives you the feel of unease. But I knew I could hear my heart pumping in my chest and feel the blood pumping through my veins. If I hadn't have felt that wouldn't have kept me going in the first place. It wouldn't have kept me fighting and wouldn't have kept me alive. I decided that I was going to wait in the shadows to see what would happen. If I saw somebody, I'd make sure that I would make sure that I was out of their shot. Still, there were some voices in the distance. I'm not exactly sure what they were saying. Still, I wasn't bothered. I waited till the coast was clear. Then I pressed on. I decided to head into the office first. The door was locked. Damn. I knew what to do at this point. The old hairpin trick seemed to work pretty well. And yes, I had an old screwdriver which could just fit any lock. I unscrewed it and was in. Once in the office, I saw a very big desk. On top of the desk were some documents. The desk had 2 drawers. The office also had an old bookcase. I observed the bookcase. It was recognizable. This bookcase was disguised as a cash terminal or some form of terminal. Could I remember it? I can't remember. I just know the body of the bookcase was wood grainy. Yes, that wood grain finish. I remember it now. I felt around the bookcase to see if there were any parts that were used for anything else. When realizing that it was just a bookcase now, I felt disappointed, but knew I wasn't at a dead end, because probably this was not just an office. I knew that within the realm of Xeron, people could do literally anything they wanted. We could disguise buildings if we wanted, and we could disguise other things. We've disguised many objects to fool other people to think that they were such objects. Like one time, I walked into a bar. I didn't say ow. What a silly pun that is. But I remember walking into a bar thinking that it was just some ordinary drinking place where I could rest, take in the ambience, have a pint and be on my way. But oh no, this place was anything else but. If I had known what it was, and back then it was one of those information holding sites. They had a call center, and literally everybody that was working there wanted information. A bit like this place. Still, this place seems to give me the creeps even now. I'm wondering if this office is disguised. If it is, I'll move on very quickly and take what I need. I moved back to the desk. I examined the drawers. Every drawer. The first drawer had quite a fair few bits. Had some useful things inside of it. On the left-hand side of the drawer, there was 6 rounds of ammunition. I took them immediately. There was some old tobacco, which I took. There was a pipe, which I also took. There was something else that I also took, just in case. A gas torch. I took quite a few things, but I didn't take a lot, because I didn't want to damage someone's territory. Still, I made sure that I left something. I always did. I always felt if you were going to steal from someone's territory, make sure that you leave something in return. So I left 6 woodbines. That should cover the cost, I thought. I also decided to make sure that I could find somewhere where I could relax for a little while. And then I would have more energy. But I thought, no. Once out of here, I've got to head north. Up that corridor. I knew once I was in the main exchange building, I was able to get whatever I needed and then press on with the mission. But there was something about this office. It may not have been 100% comfortable. There was no sign of an easy chair. There were still signs of a chair, and there were signs of somewhere where I could just get my breath back for a few minutes. I leaned up against the wall when the door opened. A man in a long white jacket walked in. It's John Chamberlain. I just know it. It's not a disguise. It's the John Chamberlain who I've always wanted to meet. Hey, Mr. Chamberlain, sir. Sorry, I'm in a rush. Chamberlain, Mr. Chamberlain, I need to speak with you very quickly. Look, sir, I can't talk right now, said John. It was John. I knew it was. This was the time not for resting. This was the time to follow John Chamberlain wherever he was going. I knew if I could follow him, I could get into the exchange. Listen, John, this is important. What is it? Make it quick. Okay, John. Will you help me get into the exchange? Why? What for? Don't ask what for. Remember, you don't ask hackers. What? You don't ask hackers what we're doing. All right. But I need to know because there's guards around the whole place looking for somebody. Yes, said Matthew. They're looking for me. This is not Matthew Turbo, is it? Said John. Yes, it is. He wheeled round again to look at me. He looked me in the eye. Listen, he said. I don't think it's a good idea, said John. What do you mean you don't think it's good? Listen, they'll have my arse as well as yours. Look, we've got enough ammunition to cover both of us. Really? Yes. Look, I know you have a territory around here. You know? Look, I work here. I'm bound to know, but I'm moving on tomorrow. I'm working somewhere else, so please don't look for me again. This time I grabbed him by the scruff of the neck. Look, punk, I said, I'm not looking for you. I'm looking for somebody else. Oh yes, who are you looking for? I paused. I bit my lip this time. I wasn't sure if he was on their side. I knew John Chamberlain, and I knew he would give the information back to those toads at some point. Right. I'm looking for my girlfriend, I said. That's all you need to know. Your girlfriend? Yes. Lisa? Yes, I'm looking for Lisa. Well, have you got information on her whereabouts? And if so, lead me to a safe part of the building where I can get that information. John then pushed me away harshly. Right, said John. If this is what you're after, then may I suggest you consult a librarian? What, go through security and get myself killed? I screamed. You told me not to do that. And you told me that they would have your ass. And I told you that I would cover both of us. This time I was becoming impatient. Look, John, I just need to get to the main part of the building. Safely. If you can't do it, then I'll do it alone. John then turned away from me, but then he spoke in a soft tone. Right, okay. Well, listen, whatever you've got to do, just get it done. I'm leaving. And if you wish to follow me, then make sure that you cover yourself first before make sure you cover me first if anything happens. And if anything really serious happens, make sure you get yourself out. Fine, I'm willing to do it. Yes. We then left the office. I followed John. Instead of heading the corridor north, we were heading up a different corridor. We were heading west. I knew this was the wrong way, but I was going to stick close to John's side. We'll take the lift, said John. We called an elevator. Once inside the elevator, we pressed a button. I just knew there's a floor in this building which has been added. You mean they've updated it? Oh yes, said John. They've updated it all right. Once we're at this floor, you'll have everything you need. What floor is it? Don't ask anything else. When the lift arrived, we both stepped out the elevator. We walked along the corridor to a room marked ZXX. We walked through the door. Once in the room, I realised it was like an old storeroom. This is a room that they've not updated. Then how come it's on a different floor? Oh, they put it here. This room gets moved around a lot. You could smell the dust. You could tell it was an old room. Here, look at all these old books. John, I whispered. It's not old books I'm after. It's data. Yes, but I'm sure if you get something from these books, and then you can scan the data in. Yes, but it won't give me fresh new data, will it? Look, you're a hacker. You're going to have to fit the pieces together. Not your way, I said. Yes, your way. Look, this is all I'm allowed to give you. You're giving me fragments of information? I shouted. Do you want your girlfriend or not? Said John. I want her. Then, if you want to save your girlfriend, I suggest that you piece the information first. Fine, I said. But listen, once you get out of here, please take the stairs. Okay, I will. And thanks. John walked out of the room and went back to the elevator. I watched him go and disappear. I knew he had to go 2 floors below, and this wasn't his floor. He didn't want me to stay by his side. Or was he just not sticking as close to me as I thought? For now, I didn't care, for the gunfire ceased. I rummaged through all the piles of books. On the wall, though, was a poster saying, Joe Mac's father is waiting. And there was an old wanted poster. Or what looked like an old wanted poster. It had damp ink and I could only make the wanted sign. I laughed at it. I wondered if this was a territory and now it's different. Now it's a brand new sign and they've just reprogrammed it. So maybe they've updated the whole of this floor, but yet not updated this room. Therefore, that means that some of this room may have something, may have something that'll be used as a great object. I looked around the room. I looked on the floor. I hunted everywhere. I went back to the books with all the people's information dated in them. Lost databases and different parts of programs and where the programs were ran. There was also a book full of lost updates. I saw a notice board though that also had the list of the last 10 updates, which meant that this room was never updated and it wasn't going to get any current updates, which meant it was the only part of the old building which they kept. And if it was there anything that Mark left that he might need? I thought that I would look round here, because if he did need it, he'd definitely be coming back to rebuild his territory at some point. And if he was going to rebuild his territory, he'd need everything that he could get. I thought that I could get most of the objects to repay him for when he needed them. I knew that I was undercover working for him yet again, but it wouldn't be long
Notification. WhatsApp. Now.
since
Barbara. Jean McKenna at Leyland Road
I
Church
wasn't
family.
working
Thank
with
you,
him.
David. Feel encouraged. Capital J.
Which would make everything a lot more easier on my terms if I wasn't working for him, which would be a lot better. And still, that's when I realised. I went back to the book with all the lost details in. I scanned through it yet again. Still before leaving the room, I realised there was a few things in the book. There was a few lost pictures. And there I saw some information about Mike Roberts, who was working for the Daily Blob, and now he was a professor. Also, it mentioned 2 other people. One of those was Princess Z, who is now a queen, and yet she had moved. She now had a city of her own. I remember when she guarded the White City. That was a long time ago. And still, they took her away from White City because not only was that under threat, but she was under threat too. Remembering this, I knew that White City was only 20 miles back from here, where I'd just come. And I knew that getting into White City was difficult. It'd still been difficult. They'd talked about updating it. The locals weren't very happy with it at all. They never were. They were always doing the right by their own. They were always doing the right by what they felt was good. Still, I just knew there was something else within this book that I had to find. There was mentions of the White City as it was being built. In the book, it had mentioned of how the White City had been programmed by the trainees, but then something happened to them. A guy called Ian Red was after them. Yes, Mr. Ian Red. And once he'd shot them down, White City was under threat from them. And everything was going down a very slippery slope because Ian's corporation was getting sold bit by bit. And Ian wasn't happy because he wanted money for something that he could no longer afford.
Mic trigger. But mic lock. Button. Is on. Mic trigger. Mic lock. Finish record. Mic lock. Finish recording.